So in my last video, I showed you guys the designs I made for each Five Nights at Freddy's character, but I wasn't able to get a lot of them. So today, I finally got the rest of the designs finished and ready to be debuted. Like stated before in part 1, I'm only going to include characters that have the most relevance in my AU, and unfortunately, a lot of characters just didn't make the cut. For many reasons, ranging from me unsure of where to put them in my series to me just not being able to come up with a design that felt natural. So if you don't see your favorite characters drawn in this video, sorry. The one generation of the Fazbear crew that I forgot in the first video are the Rockstars. These guys would have been the generation that debuted after the toy restaurant closed down. The Rockstars are supposed to represent crappy reboots that nobody asked for, and the concept for their designs was basically just taking the classics and making them look like the toys. The vibe for their clothing and the restaurant is very K-pop inspired, because I watched K-pop Demon Hunters and I don't know. This generation didn't last long, opening in 2017 and closing in 2020, right before the classic generation came back. Okay, so the design for the Fun Times don't look as good as my original designs for them, except for Baby and Funtime Chica. Nothing really changed about their designs except for a few tweaks and added details. I just wanted something new to use for this video, but I know I could have done much better than this. I'll redesign them later, just bear with these designs for right now. So the Fun Times are a different case. They never had their own restaurant and Afton never intended to give them one because they were just used to test different character concepts. And now they just reside in Afton's basement. Except for Funtime Chica. Funtime Chica is different because it was always intended for her to have her own restaurant, unlike the rest of the Fun Times. She eventually got her own restaurant, and it's a Chica's Party World reboot that opened in 2021 and is still open in the current timeline. The entire vibe for the rest of the Fun Times is basically just classic traditional animation characters. This is more obvious with Funtime Foxy, who I put in a prince outfit, but I don't want you guys to think of just typical Disney princess movies. The vibes I had in mind for the Fun Times are more similar to movies like Mouse Detective and Cats Don't Dance. Moving on to the nightmares. They are really different from the nightmares in game, and that's because I wanted to do something different with them. But before I dive into that, you might notice that Nightmare Foxy is missing from this lineup, and that's because I didn't really know what to do with him design-wise. Usually while designing characters, I have a set design already in my head, and unfortunately, while Nightmare Foxy is in my AU and one of my favorites, I couldn't think of anything for him. So honestly, I'm just deciding to go with my artistic intuition, and I'm gonna wait to draw him until I have a solid design in my head. If I were to have drawn him though, I had the idea to give him similar vibes to the real-life Blackbeard, and setting parts of his beard on fire would definitely be incorporated into that design. So, as for Nightmare Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica, like mentioned before, I have a different idea for them. So rather than just nightmares, I came up with the idea that these guys are actually the prototypes for the original Freddy's cast. Henry and Emily's original idea for the restaurant after Fredbear's closed was Chica's Party World, and these were the originals that were going to be in that restaurant, but obviously only Chica made the cut for that specific restaurant and got a little redesign. Freddy, Bonnie, and Foxy also got redesigns, and the restaurant opened a little while later. As characters, I gave them a mobster mafia theme, with Nightmare Chica being the boss of everybody and Nightmare Freddy and Nightmare Bonnie being her henchmen. I think this fits in really well with the idea for Chica being the original main character instead of Freddy. As for Foxy, he obviously wouldn't have a mob aesthetic, he'd be a pirate, so he wouldn't take orders from Chica, he'd just do his own thing. Now moving on to the designs that I'm the most excited to showcase, Ennard and Lefty. These two characters have no correlation with each other, by the way, they're just on the same canvas. I think it's very obvious who Ennard is inspired by, and I'm super happy with the way this turned out. So he's not a mashup of the other Fun Times, he's just his own animatronic, and he's supposed to be this game show host type of character. I have big plans for him, but I don't want to reveal them right now, so you'll just have to wait. As for Lefty, I chose a feminine design for her, and I decided to turn her into a Russian nesting doll because I think it's super fitting, because the puppet literally gets trapped inside of her. Anyways, I wasn't able to depict it really well here, but my idea was that Lefty's body, ears, and everything else would be painted onto the shell of the doll, and her face is the only thing that sticks out from it, so she can open her eyes and she can speak. I'm super proud of both of these designs. I really hope that you all see the vision too. So that wraps things up for my Five Nights at Freddy's designs. Again, if you didn't see your favorite character among these lineups, I'm sorry. Maybe I'll draw the extra characters in the future, and maybe I'll make a video on that, but for right now, this is all I got. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later, bye.